the only reason I still work is because I want a private jet. I hate flying commercial, right? And so like I love money, but at the same time, if you only think about money and sales, you're going to miss the point.
What's up, guys? Super excited for today's episode. We are going to give hope for all of the fuckboys out there. The maturation of this man, the arc is enormous, from the poster child for fuckboy to now a family man, established businessman. Your business now, I love your business. I can't wait until we can dive into that. You guys probably know him from his New York Times bestselling book, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. And I think the crazy stat that I found on you, you were one of 3 people to have 3 books simultaneously on the New York Times bestselling list.
Yeah, it's actually 4 now. Brene Brown just put her 4th book on, so it was for me, her, Malcolm Gladwell, and Michael Lewis. Yeah,
that's amazing, man. That is crazy.
Tucker Max, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Originally, he lives in Austin. We're going to get into it deeper, but we're going to go into the pluses and minuses of New York versus Austin, LA. I'm very excited to get into that. You have a compelling case. I'm interested. So to get into now, I first want to go into just like your upbringing. So let's just talk about, childhood, mom, dad, brother, sister. Were you a troublemaker? Did you do well in school? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so let's see. Parents were divorced when I was a year and a half. I didn't have abusive parents, but they were like most people think abusive, they think physical or sexual abuse. Like nothing like that happened. They just weren't there, right? So I had a real lonely childhood in terms of parental stuff. But like other than that, man, it was pretty normal. Like it was, I guess another weird thing, my dad had a bunch of money and my mom had none. And so like I saw both worlds. Like I'd go down to Florida, visit my dad, and like, his friends all had private planes and all this crazy shit and famous rich people. And my mom was like struggling to get by. Even though like she came from a family with money, she didn't have any. And so like I kind of was raised across both worlds. And then,
so you're saying you kind of lived like an isolated life where they weren't giving you support, like how to live life type support?
Yeah, they were broken narcissists. And so like they didn't love themselves. They weren't capable of, they were barely functioning as people. And so you can't show up as a parent that way, And it's like, it wasn't personal. I mean, don't get me wrong. They did a terrible job parenting and it was hard for me to work through all this shit. Yeah. But like, I used to be really angry at them and whatever. At first I was like, oh, they were great parents. And I started to realize, wait a minute, they were fucking terrible. Like this is all. And then I was angry at them. And then I kind of dealt with all that stuff and realized, all right, they were just sad, broken people. They gave me what they could, which was almost nothing. But like, okay, then it's still my shit to deal with, right?
But
like,
in that, they might have brought you everything,
Well, I mean, I always say they gave me 2 things, right? They gave me a great name. Tucker Max is like my real name, and that's a pretty badass name, right? And so that was pretty cool. And then the other thing they gave me is that they didn't pretend that they cared, right? So most people I see that had abusive parents, the parents mixed love and abuse, which is like, and for a lot of people, it's like, they dealt with a lot less shit than I did, but they have a harder time getting through it. And I couldn't understand why for a long time. And I think it's because their parents both loved them truly and cared for them, but also like were just abusive in some level. And I don't mean abusive in a bad way, just like dysfunctional, right? My parents didn't give a shit about me, and they really didn't pretend that much to. And so it was easy for me. It was painful and hard as a kid.
But it was clear.
Right. Exactly. Like I'd never thought the adults were coming to save me because they never did. And I never ever relied on other people. Like the reason I'm so independent and I'm so functional and I was so I've been able to take the path I have of like, I don't care what a bunch of people think about me because they don't matter, is because I didn't have parents around who like were telling me that I need to worry about what they say or think. They just weren't around, right? And so in a weird way, the abuse was also a gift, right?
Yeah.
But it took me a while to understand that and see that. But now I get it.
That's two very interesting gifts for them to give you. That's nuts. So were you an athlete? Did you do well in school?
Yeah, I was like, it's so funny. Like, I know tons of entrepreneurs now, and so many of them did really bad in school, and I did great. I mean, like,
Wow, you're like one of the first ones.
Dude, I did amazing.
The first and only.
I
Yeah, the first
crushed
and only.
school. Dude, I went to the University of Chicago, which is like a top 10 undergrad.
Nice.
And then I graduated in 3 years with highest honors. And I got I'm a white dude, got an academic scholarship to a top 10 law school, to Duke, right?
Wow.
Which is like unheard of. This doesn't happen unless you're I want to say everyone says unless you're a genius. I'm no smarter than any people just like you guys who started companies. The difference is I figured out that school is just a system. Just like business is like, oh, there's a system, there's a way to do this. And once you figure it out, it's actually pretty easy, right?
Damn, I've never
School's
thought
the same
about
way.
that. Yeah.
School is just a fucking system. And once you break it, it's dead fucking simple.
Let's talk about breaking it. So was it like systematizing how you studied for tests?
No, because they tell you school's
Because
about...
time out, I'm very curious now as someone that did terrible in school and
Right.
someone that I think I'm a very intelligent human.
Yeah.
I want can I get a 4.0?
So
I'm very curious.
I don't know you, but my guess is you were real ADD. You couldn't sit still. Your teachers told you were dumb. All that stuff, right?
100%.
Okay, right.
Yep.
Yeah, so because my CEO is very much like you. The guy who runs my company is just like you, and he was one of the things he loved about me first. When we met, I'm like, no, dude, you're not dumb. Like, and I explained kind of the dynamic in school. School is not about learning, and it's not about education. School is about teaching you to obey. And when you understand that, then you're like, oh, this is just a fucking game. And none of these teachers even understand the game. So my job is not to learn this material. My job is to model what they think, their mind. So I got to figure out what they think I'm supposed to know. Then I just put that on the test and I'm going to do great. You see? So like I always had essentially two tracks in my head in school. There was the shit that I was learning that I really liked. Because I'm sure you guys love learning about stuff you care about, right?
100%.
So the subjects that I was into, I would read so deeply. I would dive into the syllabus. I'd be like, I would know more than the teacher a lot of times.
You were a big studier. You put in the time.
I was a big learner about stuff I cared about. But then on the other side, there's like, okay, these are the subjects I have to do well in. I need to get a grade. If I didn't care about it, like I'm trying to think of one, math. I just could not care at all about math. So what I did was I figured out, okay, the teacher is teaching X, Y, Z. I need to just learn X, Y, Z, right? Or there were a couple teachers I had in subject, like I love history, but I had a couple bad teachers. And so instead of like fighting with them, what I would do is say, okay, they think the Civil War was caused by slavery, so I'm going...
On the essay talk
right,
about that.
I'm going to talk about... I literally would model their mind, right? Because I was smart enough as a kid to be like, this is just a game. I'm going to figure out the game. And it was like, that. Again, that's a gift. My parents, by not caring about me, taught me I had to understand the world. And I had to figure out the world.
How it actually is.
Right, how it actually is, not how it looks, right, from the outside. You guys probably had good enough parents where it's like, you thought, okay, my parents are telling me things, they care about me, they tell me school matters, they tell me I have to learn, so I'm going to take school at face value. I never took school at face value, right? I didn't really fully get the depth of this until later on, but in school I always knew it's a game, I've got to give them what they want, so that I can get what I want. And it's not about like, and nothing in school is a judge of me or who I am. I knew from early on it was bullshit, right? Because how many, like Jesus Christ, dude, every entrepreneur I know who did terrible at school, part of the reason they're so good at entrepreneurship is because the things they had to learn by being bad at school is what made them good at life. Social skills, people, persuasion, manipulation, all that shit, right? I just saw that early on. I mean, I saw early on, wait a minute, like the way I get stuff in the world is totally different. The way you get stuff in school is following the rules, doing what you're told, and regurgitating back to them what they think the answers are. But out in the world, it doesn't work this way. And so like I was like, oh, okay, this is just a fucking game. That's it. That's all it is.
And did you fully understand and know this strategy while you're in it, or is you just more looking back now and saying, hey?
I knew it enough to execute it.
Yep.
I don't think I didn't understand the depth at which school was I didn't know. So this is crazy. If you study the history of public education in America, it's basically started in the 18th century by industrialists to train people on how to work on factory lines.
Yeah.
That's all school is. And then there's a guy, John Gatto, who's written a bunch of books about this. School is like literally a social indoctrination device and nothing else.
Yeah.
It is not about learning at all. Because if it was, what school would look like Montessori, right? Or there's a style of school called Waldorf. They're all around the country. Like I was going to homeschool my kids until I realized what Waldorf was. And I'm like, oh.
What is it teaching, like real life skills, like accounting
Yes,
and legal?
they have a blacksmith on campus. Like they teach you knitting. Like it's a Renaissance school, basically.
First jam, my kid's going to fucking Waldorf.
I'm
Let's
telling
go.
you, seriously, you will love it, man.
Yeah.
Waldorf is amazing. And what they do is all learning is experiential. It's body. It's you do stuff. You try stuff. You like it's the
How many of these
complete
are across
opposite.
the whole entire nation?
Probably 250 in America or something like that.
Yeah, to me, like the whole like school is just the whole thing they're teaching you to do is ask for permission.
Yes,
That's literally
to
what
be sheep.
school
They're
is.
training you to be
Yeah.
sheep, and I was not a sheep. Because so early on, I was ignored and alone as a kid. I'm telling you, man, that so many adults operate at the, not entrepreneurs, but people who like just normal people on the street. They act like they're waiting for the adults to show up and tell them what to do and make things okay. I learned early on that was not going to
Yeah.
happen.
And
My
that's how like
parents
corporate
never
life
came.
is. I mean, corporate life is the same way.
But yeah, that's all what corporate life is. It's who's the best sheep.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm going to be a shepherd.
We're trying to breed shepherds in here. Leaders create leaders. That's what we're trying to do.
I'm with you.
Entrepreneurial environment. So, fuck school. Buddy did very well in school. What happened next? You graduate from Duke Law School.
Graduated from Duke Law School. Well, then my strategy works until I intersect with the corporate world where it's like, it's school times 10, right? So
You really got to play ball.
it's real, exactly. It's real. It's easy to, as long as you play ball with grades in school, they'll basically you're not like a criminal. They'll basically let you get away with anything, right?
Yeah.
But no, man, not in the corporate world. The corporate world, you've got to be a good sheep.
Wait, so you did corporate right now?
Corporate law. I work for Fenwick and West, dude. That's like that's like one of the big Silicon Valley firms. Like that. You know,
I feel
Google,
like you got fired
Facebook.
or punched someone in the face.
2.5 weeks I got fired. 2.5
I
weeks.
did not know that in any of the stuff I wrote. That's funny.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks.
Wow. Why?
Because
You cursed them off because you said you were late?
No. It's actually hilarious. The real reason is one of the senior female partners in the firm propositioned me, and I did the worst possible thing. I turned her down, and then I told everybody. I didn't. If I'd fucked her, no problem. I'd have been bulletproof, right? If I had shut the fuck up, no problem. I literally said, no, I'm not going to fuck you. And then I was like, hey, guys, guess what she just did?
This is the beginning of us analyzing Tucker's fuckboy DNA. So let's start here.
I have no idea why I turned it down either, dude. It's like because even at that point in my life, I'd fucked way worse looking women. I have no idea why I said
Do
no.
you regret that decision now?
No,
it all
it's
brought
great,
you
man.
together. It all
No,
brought you together.
because if I'd fucked her, then I would have been bulletproof in that firm. They never would have fired me. I would have had golden handcuffs. I never would have had. God's honest answer is I don't think I would have had the courage to leave on my own. Because dude, as a 4-year-old, I was making $140,000 a year, and then if I fucked a partner, like it probably had been in her.
Oh, she was a partner.
Yeah, she was a senior
Shout
partner.
out.
She led a division, a big one.
How old was she?
I don't know, in her 40s or something. I don't know.
You weren't going for older women then?
Oh no! I said, I fucked older and uglier women. I have no idea why I said no. It was the weirdest thing, man. It was, I don't know, dude.
Maybe a good conscience at that point?
Not about conscious. I don't think it was. I mean, she was married with kids, and like this was clearly cheating on her husband. But I didn't give a fuck about that. I didn't know her husband. Why would I care? I have no responsibility to him.
All right, we need to exit this portion of the conversation right now. So, in the business world, where do you go next?
So after that, I went to work for my dad. He had restaurants in South Florida. And then he then fired me from the family business. So it took 6 months, right? But longer. So I went from 2.5 weeks fired to 6 months fired. And then I was kind of fucked at that point because that's like all the shit I trained for. Law and business. I was ejected in the worst way possible from both those industries. Like literally, like you can't get fired from being a summer associate. And I was. And who gets fired from the family business? I was. And so then at that point, man, I was living in South Florida. I had no idea what to do next. And I started writing emails to my friends about like all the dumb, drunken shit. I was sad and depressed and lonely and like a normal 25-year-old guy who's disconnected from his emotions, which is who I was at the time. I just got drunk and hooked up with girls and
where was this, in South Florida?
Yeah, right. I lived in Boca at the time, which was like, oh, dude, it was a hellscape, the worst. No, because like, see, everyone in Boca was either an old person, right? I'm not old. I got nothing to do with them. Or if they're young, they're all on fucking drugs because it's South Florida. So they're all doing coke or whatever the fuck. And I didn't do any drugs. So it was like I had nothing to talk. If you're a druggie, you got nothing to talk about with a non-druggie, right? And so it was like I just wanted to drink beer and hook up with hot girls. And the hot girls were all coke addicts. So it was like, what the fuck do you do in South Florida, right? I mean, like I found the random girl who like a girl or set of girls who weren't, but it was just horrible. And they were all idiots because it's South Florida. No one there has a brain. It's the worst. I hated every moment of it.
Tucker may or may not be saying things that I would like to say, but I haven't said them anywhere.
Mark's
I have
trying
not
so
had
hard.
good success with anyone in that region, so I'm fully with you. We should talk about all those regions, but for now, let's just leave it at that. So
I just started writing emails to my friends about my life, and they were hilarious. And then my friends forwarded them around to their friends, and they kind of blew up. And then
and give us some context in those emails. Was it just like was it racy shit? Was it like
I didn't think it was. It ended up being like the shit. The emails I sent my friends became the core of I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, the book that sold now 2-3 million copies and was in 5 years a New York Times bestseller and created a literary genre. Emails to my friends. And that's
Now that's interesting. So like, is this the first time you kind of realized you liked writing, or you were good at writing, or was this kind of like?
Yeah, like
I always kind of had this skill set.
So I knew I was a good writer because you have to be a good writer in academia, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I thought, yeah, I'm a good academic writer. Like the idea that I would be funny in writing was not like a thing. So
was it funny as much as just what it was? I feel like you were just
it was funny. It was both.
No, but I feel like you were just writing what it was.
Yes, but but I was trying to make my friends laugh. I wasn't trying to be funny. I was trying to make my friends laugh, which in my mind were different things, right? And so, dude, it's funny, man. Like, I about a month or two after I got fired, one of my buddies from law school called me, and he goes, dude, you kind of suck at law and you suck at business, right? But he's like, these emails you're writing are the funniest things I've ever read. And I was like, okay, yeah, but so what? What am I going to do? And he's like, go be a writer. And I'm like, I'm not a faggot. Why would I be a writer? No, seriously. Like, I was the idea that I would be a writer was so divorced from any reality.
Really? Why?
Because in my mind, writers were pussies.
Really?
At that point in my life.
Yeah.
You got to remember, I'm like 25 and I'm an idiot, right? Everything about me was stupid, dude. And I was totally disconnected from myself.
And what year is this now? Like 2000-ish?
It was 2001. It was right after, it's like the 6 months after 9/11. I was working for my dad during 9/11. So it was right after that.
And I feel like then too, like writing and these books and entrepreneurships wasn't as celebrated as it is now.
They're cool, yeah.
I know starting a business I didn't really even think about. Like I had no idea what I was going to do. Literally none, man. I was lost. I was as lost as it gets.
So what was the email that ignited that I am going to invest my time in?
The first story in the first book. It's called the Sushi Pan Story, which doesn't. It's basically I went out and got drunk with a bunch of people I couldn't stand, and when all these. It was probably an average, probably the same night you guys have had 20 times, right? Yeah. I just wrote it, I time stamped it, wrote it in a way that was really funny. And then my friends forwarded that there was like 8 of them. They forwarded all to all of their friends. And I ended up getting that forwarded back to me from people in other social circles. And that's when I was like, shit, maybe my friend's right. Maybe I am funny. Like maybe I am a funny writer and this is what I should do. And so it kind of went from, then it took like my 5-6 best stories. I sent them to every publisher and magazine in New York, right? Every traditional publisher and magazine, 100% rejection. Like most people didn't even respond, but like I got maybe 3 or 4 personalized rejection letters where it's like this is the worst shit I've ever read. You should never write again. You should never even write an email again.
An email.
I know people were like freak. Like
How many total emails do you think you wrote?
I sent out about 1,000 queries.
For everybody listening,
Yeah.
keep fucking going. There you go, baby.
1,000 queries. And so, but this is back when, remember, this is 2001, 2002. So this is back when everyone still assumed you had to go through gatekeepers in media, right? So it's a very different time than now. And so like I got 100% rejection and I'm like, well, I don't know. I know this is funny because I'm getting it forwarded back to me.
See, that's bad too because the emails, the open rates were probably way higher.
Well, dude,
so
this
you
is
know,
back,
you know you're getting
email,
double
Are you old enough
rejected.
to remember email forwards? Will
Yeah.
you get those? Are you guys old enough to remember?
Yeah, like big long threads.
Right,
Yeah,
like
I remember those.
usually
Yeah.
have
Or you'll die
Yeah.
if you don't forward this to 20 people. You'll die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like you can still see in the old internet archives, like some of my original stuff is like some of the original viral email forwards.
AOL gang.
Seriously.
Let's go.
And no, like, that was back when everyone had Hotmail or
Yeah.
AOL.
AIM.
And so I was like, okay, these people, even though they're in publishing, they're wrong. Because when other people are forwarding me shit, like telling me to read it, not knowing it's me, this is funny. So I put up a website, and this is back when like GeoCities was still a thing. So I had to like learn how to code HTML, and I put up a site, and it's funny, like because it was so ghetto looking then, but it basically looks like Tumblr now or something, or like any blog, and it blew up. Like it just people started like reading it, and it got all this traction. And then MTV came to film me because this is back when it was like really creepy to meet someone off the internet. And at the time, I had a date application page for girls, right? I put it up as a joke, but then girls started filling it out. And like I started hooking up with them. I'm like, this is magic. Like this is the greatest thing of all time.
Wait, time out. So let's dissect your life at this point. So you have this blog that you're writing, and it's a combination.
Before the word blog even exists, and before social media, I'm doing this.
So it's a combination of you going out and getting fucked up and then coming back and then writing about it on the website in conjunction with an application for girls to fill out, which you then would take on and get fucked up and read it.
Mark's
and write it.
dream life.
This is a serious racket, yo. You are crazy.
Dude, I stumbled into this, man. It's just how it emerged. And so like, and it was crazy. Is like at the beginning, of course, it was all like sea donkeys applying to go on a date with me. It wasn't hot girls, but I'm like, who cares? Like this is amazing. But then it started snowballing because like the more
He's like, it's a proof of concept.
right, and then
it
the
doesn't
more
even matter
dates I
what they
would go
look
on, the
like.
more funny stories I would write, and then the more girls would hear about it and then want to. And then it was like, oh wow, it became this whole thing. And then MTV filmed me, like going on dates with people I met on the internet. It was like a whole thing. It was me and two other people. And like it blew up, and like that thing got all kinds of attention, and then it was on, dude. Like, well, in the same month that dropped, one of the girls I wrote about sued me, and I won the case, but it was like this big case at the time, this First Amendment case, and so those two things hit at the same time, and so then like I blew up, and then all the publishers came back to me, and they're like, yeah, we want to publish your book, and so then like kind of started the whole process. My book came out in 2006.
What's the biggest thing you learned about that lawsuit?
Oh man, you want to know seriously? The biggest thing
Of course,
I learned,
I want to
man,
fucking know seriously.
is that this is gonna sound a little mystical and weird, right? But it's what I took from it. When you are, the universe will test you to make sure you're worthy of your destiny. Right? And so at the beginning, shit will be, if it's a thing you're supposed to be doing, things will be easy and come fast and you'll get amazing growth, right? But then right before you really break through,
Something fucked up happens.
something really fucked up is going to happen because you've got to prove that you're worthy of what's coming next.
Damn, I love that. That's
You
good.
know?
That's
and
some
so,
deep shit, man.
dude,
I
that
like
lawsuit fucked me up, man. Like, because you got to set the
Because
whole scene.
that was the genesis of your whole entire...
Dude, it's way worse, man. It's way
Yeah.
worse.
Tell us about it.
So basically, because at the time, all I'm doing, it didn't occur to me, because you asked earlier about like controversy. I'm like, it never occurred to me that any of this would be controversial, because I literally was just writing about what I was doing. And like, of my 9 friends from law school that we would all go back and forth in email, I wasn't even the funniest or the craziest of the group. I was just the one who wrote about it publicly and put my shit out there with my real name. That was the difference, right? And I committed to it, did more work. But at the beginning, man, it could have been any one of us. I'm just the one who picked it up and ran with it. So then, okay, so she sues me. And dude, everything I wrote, I won the case eventually because in America, truth is the ultimate defense to libel. And I told the entire truth about this girl. She was like a pageant girl, and like her whole platform was abstinence and charity, or chastity, right? So don't drink, don't fuck. The first night I met her, she got drunk and fucked me in the back of her fucking Ford Explorer, right? And so I wrote about this whole fucking thing. And like, and she was a public figure. So I never used anyone's real name but mine and hers because she was a public figure. And like no one else, private figures, I never put their shit on the internet. All kinds of girls did dirty shit with me that they never talked about the rest of their life. That's fine. Not my job to blow them up. But she's like a public figure, and what she put in the public was against what she was doing, right?
Was there collateral damage where more people came forward and tried coming after you?
No one's ever, no girl has ever come after me because I've never really done anything but hook up with them, and I don't write their names, so they don't care. Like it's not, but so anyway, so it wasn't her, it was her mom that sued me because her mom was embarrassed, right? And so long story short, this is right as I blew up. And this is before you could monetize this shit, right? So I had no money. I hadn't even gotten a publishing deal yet. I was dirt ass poor, dude. Like the only reason I had protein in my life is because the girls I was hooking up with from the date application page were taking me to dinner. Like I'm dead serious. I was the, you know, like I'm with what you do. I'm sure you got to know the Instagram celebrities who don't have any money, right?
Yeah.
So okay, I was way worse though.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even pretend I had money, man. I
Were
was
you shredded
broke.
then though? Were you in good shape and shit?
Good enough, not really. Like I'm in better shape now.
But you had some game though.
Yeah, cause you're 25. I was 25, 26, 27. I was in good enough shape then, and I had enough game that it was like easy to get girls. And I was in Chicago. It's easy to get girls.
So what was it? Did they want the clout to like low key get on the blog?
No. So the girls, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, no. It's more like honestly, we were both dysfunctional. And like I was dysfunctional and so were they, and we were working out our problems through sex, but not realizing any of it, you know? But dude, her mom sues me and I don't have any money. And so I got to go back to my dad. Like some baller attorneys wanted to represent me because it was a big case, front page of the New York Times, and they wanted the attention, but they had to have something, right? Normally these are guys that would charge 50, 100 grand for this case. They're like, we'll take 5 grand or 10 grand, but like I got to have something, right? And so I had no money. So I had to get my dad to loan me 7 grand, and he loaned it to me with a condition. You take the bar and you go be a lawyer. And I was like, I mean, like, what the, like, that's the whole reason I was writing was not to do this. I hated, I mean, I got fired out of it. There's plenty of ways I could get back into it, but like, the good thing is I didn't want to do it. It sucked.
I really don't like that move from your dad there.
Dude, it was bad. It was fucked up,
That's
man.
a fucked up move.
No, look, in his defense, he thought he was doing the right thing, but it's really fucked up, right? To say, I'll save you, but only if you crush your dream, is basically what he was doing. So I was like, all right, fuck. So I agreed to it, win the case, and I'll never forget this, man. I had to walk, because I didn't have a car, to the Lincoln Park Library, because at the time, to take the bar, you had to type out your form, because they didn't have online submissions then, right? And so I didn't have a typewriter, so I went to the library. I'm typing it on the fucking public typewriter, and I throw up in the trash can. Like my body was like rejecting, like, no, you cannot do this. You are not going to go be a lawyer. This will kill your soul. I literally, and I hadn't eaten. So like I was throwing up bile, and I call my dad, like I leave, and I'm like, all right, I can't ignore this anymore.
That's not a sign right there.
And I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I promised, but I got to break the promise because I'll fucking die if I do this. And he didn't talk to me for a while, and I'm like, okay, fine, that's the price I'll pay. Now I ended up paying him back years later, right? No problem. Of course, I made all money, whatever. But yeah, that was like one of those things where like I had to prove I was worthy, dude. I had to pay the price for this.
Did you feel like you had a proof that like, did your work ethic increase right after that because you knew your back was against the wall?
I mean, that was very much like, I burned the bridges behind me, dude. Like I had nothing else then. It's either I go forward and succeed, or I don't. I guess I'm just a failure at life. So, but I knew, but it was easy to go forward because I had more than enough proof of concept. You know, like in product market fit. I knew it was working. I knew people loved it. I knew if I just went forward, it would work. But I had to burn the bridges behind me, man. And I did, and yeah, that is motivation, dude. There's a reason when Caesar marched on Rome, he literally burned the bridges over the river Tiber to show his army. It was a symbol to show his army, we win or we die.
I love it. So what I'm curious about now is up until now, if you look at the facts, you were a quote unquote failed businessman, a lawyer, and now you have this clout through your blog, and now you're talking to publishers. So you need to cut a business deal right now. What happens? Is it you against them? Do you have your friends helping you out? What's going on?
No. At the time, publishers they were the gatekeepers. There was no other way around them. And so like I got a shitty deal. I mean, I got the standard publishing deal. They didn't fuck me. It just, the standard deal is shitty.
And you're brash right now, so I would imagine when you were 26, you were fucking insane. So are you going into these meetings like a fucking psycho?
Yeah.
Guess what's happening? So we're writing the book right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fucking psycho in these meetings, bro. I'm gonna go fucking psycho.
Yeah, please.
You want me to tell you what's going to work? What's going to
give him
happen? I'll tell you.
Tell me what's gonna happen.
Like, you're not going to get a deal. It's going to hurt you.
Ooh, he's serious. Look at his eyes.
And I'm not saying that judgmentally. I'm just telling you, like, if you want to go psycho, then you should own your own shit, right? And then you go psycho on promoting it and running your stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
we partnering?
If only I had a publishing company that did this with people. No, I'm not going to come on your show and sell you. You sell yourself, man.
We're going to get to his new business, which I'm very interested in at the end of it. So let's go back to this. So you go to the publishers and what happens?
They have their model, they have their system, and either you agree to their system or you don't. That's it. You know, it's like either you play by our rules or you don't play with us.
And there's still no wiggle room to this day. Obviously, you still have intel into that side.
Not really, no.
None?
No, I mean, we do. So we've done 1,500 books in 5 years. About 10 or 15 of them have been with traditional. Like, we don't advertise this on our site as a service we do, but when big ballers come in and want to work with us, we can do a proposal, get them an agent, get them placed with a publisher, and do the manuscript, and then help them market it. We have that as a service.
For quick context, guys, we're going to get into it later. He owns a company called Scribe Media, which assists you in basically A to Z creating your book.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so you guys have context.
But for almost everyone we do, it's professional publishing, like self-publishing, where you own the rights and royalties, you have full creative control, and we're a service company, which is the opposite business model of traditional. That's why we can work with them, because like some of our people are big enough and a traditional makes sense, right?
I think we're going to go cowboy first, and then we're going to break the system.
It's faster too.
We're going to break, no, cowboy self-published first.
Yeah.
And then the second time, I think we're going to go in with a little bit of leverage. No?
Because
Look at us.
but I know the system, right? There's no reason to work with them.
You know the system, guys.
Well, no, but there's no reason to work with them if you have leverage. Because then, if you have an audience and you have leverage, all they do is take your money and they don't bring any value, dude.
I want to just revolutionize the game, but whatever.
That's what we've done. We set it up so someone like you, it's really easy for you to get everything you would have gotten with traditional, you get from us, but now you own your content, you own all the rights and royalties, you make all the profit, you have full creative control, right? Whereas with them, they own the book, they make most of the profit.
And you're basically getting like a royalty?
So basically, you're a service provider, not a partner.
Exactly. Yes. Which, now, normally I would love to partner, but in this business, believe it or not, just being a service provider is better for the author. Right? I mean, I built my company off of what I wanted from a company, right? And what I want is someone who's going to do exactly what I say. They're experts. They know their shit. They'll tell me if I'm fucking up, but they're going to do what I say so that I have full control and I make all the money.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sign this deal with the publisher. Mm-hmm. What happens?
So it takes me a while. I write the book. Book comes out, and of course they don't do anything to market it because no publishers do anything to market, right? Unless you're Michelle Obama or.
But you have what at this point? So social media doesn't exist. You have a blog that's getting.
I have a blog, and someone I forget who it was told me, hey, put up an email capture and send out.
Whoever that fucking guy is, that's the fucking gangster. And then you blasted 70,000 emails and got 60,000 sales. The referral game was fucking crazy.
I wish 60. That'd be cool. No, I had a list that was probably 50 to 70,000. And I sent, and I would only send an email when I had new stories out. When my book came out, I'm like, hey, I got a book. Sold 5,000 copies the first week, 3,500 the second week. That was enough to hit the New York Times bestseller list 2 weeks in a row. And so, like, I was out of nowhere, I was a New York Times bestseller. Like, I got no media. No one talked about me in mainstream.
How old were you now? 26, 27?
No, 29?
29
and 30, something like that.
What was that
so you
like?
were in your peak of fuckery.
I was close to your age, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so now you have a New York Times bestseller, and you're making a little bit of money now, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, sort of, because they pay you in a 6 month lag. You get paid twice a year in a 6 month lag. So like,
Wow,
like,
I'm really starting to not like this fucking system.
I
like that Shopify next day deposit.
Yeah, no, they don't play that.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I am making money, but what I made more money quickly on was speaking. Like I started speaking at colleges, stuff like that, and getting paid pretty good money for that, 5-10 grand, which for me at the time was like, oh my God, I can have a steak now.
And it's
like,
just you talking about these stories.
I wouldn't even usually talk about that. I would tell a story or two, but mostly I would just fuck with the kids. Like I would do Q&A and like I would just fucking rag on them, and they loved it. They thought it was the greatest shit of all time. And I'm like, I get paid 5 or 10 grand to come and make fun of people.
So it was
this
like
is
almost like a comedy show style.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not good at stand up, but I'm really good at back and forth.
Yeah.
And so like I would just fucking, it was just like what we all do with our friends, right? I just did it on stage to thousands of college kids.
Did you still have the application up on the blog at this point?
No.
I was gonna say that.
I'm married with 3 kids, man.
No, I'm talking about when you were 29 or 30. Oh, you're.
Oh yeah, at that point. Oh, dude, at that point.
Wow, the lead gen game was probably crazy, huh?
So no guy understands. No guy gets this until you become once you become famous. I mean, any fame in any sort of niche,
Yep.
the entire world fucking changes in terms of women, right? Because like if you're not well known, doesn't matter. You can have the best game. You can be really good looking. You
Rich.
can whatever rich.
Doesn't even matter.
You still have to do shit. You got to work for women, right?
Yeah.
Once you become famous, they come to you, and it's fucking mind blowing, dude.
There's an interview with Dan Bilzerian, and it's literally like his clout is just it's 20 times. Being famous in the cloud is 20 times more than anyone that's could be 20 times as rich but silent.
It doesn't matter how much game you have. You cannot compete in terms of attracting women to have sex. You cannot compete with someone who's famous. It's not possible. That's why on the hierarchy, actors, musicians, athletes, because they're the most famous people, right? So like you can't, actors and musicians 1, 2, it can vary depending on the girl. Athletes are always third, right? And then it's like everyone else famous.
You know what? This is crazy because I first heard about you. I was in junior high, and my mom and my sister told me about you. And it's confusing.
My mom thinks you're disgusting.
Yeah, so
I told her
My mother-in-law thinks I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
Loves me.
So was your demographic? I feel your demographic actually was women.
It was
first,
about half women,
and then
yeah.
they told the guys about it. It wasn't that you had just a guy
Dudes don't
audience.
read.
Yeah.
Of course, dudes don't read, man.
So I found that so funny.
I've sold millions of books. You don't sell millions of books to just guys.
Yeah.
Like although about half my fans, at least judging by the events, right? Half my fans are men, because the other half were women. And so I would do a book signing. It's so funny, man. I would do book signings at like, Barnes and Noble and all the nerdy book people, and like, oh, this guy's a misogynist to the worst. And then like it would be hundreds of women there, and like the little fucking librarian heads would explode because they had no idea how to understand that like women liked me.
So it was really, was it like a Planned Parenthood type thing? Like you're a murderer picketing outside type shit?
No, I created all that. That didn't exist until I started planning that stuff in the media when the movie came out. Before that, my shit was 50-50. Even after, it was still 50-50, but a lot of times more. I would have so many women come out. Even, look, a good percentage of them wanted to sleep with me, but tons of them didn't. They just thought I was hilarious, and they did crazy stuff, and they liked reading my stories.
So you have the book. It's a New York Times bestseller, starting to get paid to speak, and you're still fucking around at this point. You haven't met your wife.
I'm fucking as many girls as I can.
And you're in your
I'm like a fucking wolf. Seriously. Dude, I was like a wolf in a petting zoo, dude. Every girl basically that would fuck me that was not either disgusting physically or diseased, I was plowing.
Can we make a pact that your wife is going to speak to my future wife about just allowing this shit right now? I fucking love it.
Well, it would have been bad if I was married then. But
she must be very confident in her ways right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, like,
had to take a confident woman.
We might want to have her on after this.
I think we should have her on.
My wife, no, there's no, even if I tried to hide it, first off, that'd be unethical and it wouldn't work. But no, she knows. I mean, like, yeah, like it's, if anything, what's funny, dude, is like,
I don't have respect for some of my friends that like were on the racket for years and like,
and they lie about it.
Yeah, oh my God. One of my friends told his wife thinks he's had sex with 20 girls. I was like, buddy, you were at past 20 in senior year in high school.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
If you have to lie to your wife, then you have a bad relationship. Period. Point blank. That's it. And it probably won't last. And if it does, it's not going to be you're not going to be happy with it. I could never imagine. lying about any of this shit. Like my wife,
Well, I mean, she can go read the books and look at the blogs too.
Here's like the idea that women don't like guys. The idea that women that don't like guys
That can get other women
is absolutely false.
Yeah,
in
I
all
agree with
ways.
that.
What a woman doesn't like is if you're still fucking all those other girls. Then she's like, okay, hold on. But like the fact that you're attractive to other women only makes you more attractive to her. It's just, who are you currently fucking, right? And so by the time I met my wife, I was I'd stopped dating around. Like I'd stopped fucking other girls at least as much as now it's like I was like a serial monogamous. I was dating girls and actually, dating. And so by the time I met her, I was way out of that game. And so, no, dude, there is nothing more unattractive to a woman than a guy that no other woman cares about. Like the only women I know who want a guy that no other women like are the most insecure.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. They just want to fucking harbor them and shelter them because they're afraid that someone else is better than them and going to take them. I completely agree with that. Okay. So you're in your early 30s. You've wrote this book. Does the movie come next, or does more books come next?
No, movie, which was a mistake. I wish I had just kept writing.
Kept writing
books.
it?
Yeah, but I kind of put the next two on pause to do the movie.
I want to stop for a second before we get into the movie, because we'll get into your business last, and obviously you're a real businessman at this point. Are you investing into now? I know you did well in school, but at what point did you understand business like you do now? Because looking back, you're saying you wouldn't have done the movie now from a strategic standpoint. But at this point, are you like reading books and educating yourself? Or are you still on like benders?
Both.
Both.
The two things are not mutually exclusive. You can be really fucking brilliantly smart and also incredibly self-destructive at the same time. Like, in fact, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So I was definitely educating myself, not in the... I thought I was way smarter than I was, though. Definitely. Which is the most dangerous combination, right? Like, if you're an idiot and you know you're an idiot, you're fine. Yeah. If you're smart and know where your weaknesses are, you're good, too. I thought I was smart, but I really wasn't. And I thought I knew business.
You thought you were smart in areas that you weren't smart in.
Because I was great in certain areas. I'm a great writer. I must be great at business. Doesn't fucking work that way. But I thought, like, that's a pretty common mistake. I made it. Yeah.
Okay, so then the movie comes, and for people out there that don't know, the movie did not do well. So was this
Bomb.
you were on a way up, and then this happens. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that point in time, because for us, we're all about showing and talking about the downs.
Dude, I'll talk about the downs. So I at the time when the movie it was I remember the moment I learned the movie was going to bomb. It was September 27th, 2009. And I was in an aloft in Tempe, Arizona. And I remember it so precisely because it was literally my birthday. And it ended up being one of the most traumatic nights of my entire life. Like, a girl was supposed to come over and I told her to fuck off. And we got the early numbers back. It was clear like it was not going to do well. And dude, I didn't have a breakdown, but it was like the closest I've ever come in my life. Like, it was sobbing, weeping, like it was the worst moment of my life in a lot of ways. I can look back now and understand why. At the moment, so much of my identity was tied up in my art that the movie doing poorly for me
directly affected.
I'm a failure. The movie's a failure. It means I am personally a failure, right? What it did, now, it was horrible at the moment, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly, because if it had worked, even if it had done like 20 or 30 million, right? And I was expecting way more.
And the budget was what, 5, 6, 7, 10?
Yeah, it was less than 10. So like if it had done 20, in Hollywood, that's a huge hit. Mm-hmm. And I never would have left LA. I would have been stuck where I was emotionally at that level for the rest of my life. Because no one ever would have been able to tell me I was wrong about anything again, right? And but it took that level of failure for me to crack my grandiosity. Because look, coming from narcissistic parents, my defense against all that shame and loneliness and whatever was narcissism. It was, I'm great, I'm amazing, right?
And you did well in school too, which probably was another thing that probably rationalized in your head, like, I'm smart.
And so, like, for me to get past all that, I had to crack that, and the movie failing did. And then that's kind of what started. It wasn't right away. It was a long journey, started going into therapy and all that kind of stuff. But, like, no, dude, that was the bottom for me emotionally. Which is the thing about how funny this is. Like, what a rich white person problem. A movie made about my life, but that came out the day I turned 34, was not a massive success, and so I fucking collapsed. I mean, like, dude, like most people's trauma stories are like, I got beaten within an inch of my life, or my stepdad raped me, or some horrific shit like that. Mine is a movie about my life, only did a few million at the box office.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Still living conservative too in that A-Loft. A-Loft's a good undercover one. Underpriced. I like that one. I love A-Lofts. You like A-Lofts?
They're not bad
I've
for
never
the
been to
price.
one thing.
I love A-Lofts.
I like how you went to the price effectiveness of the hotel.
That's
you
his mind. That's how his mind works.
still are living below your means. I have a lot of respect for that.
That's how his mind works, man.
It's a good random
He's
one.
thinking about how much you saved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it affected you internally, but externally, did your friends look at you differently?
I mean, to some extent, like that's never where I get. That's the gift my parents gave me.
You just never gave a shit.
I just don't. It doesn't even occur to me that it's something I should care about. You know?
I love that. That's amazing advice for everybody out there, and you care about yourself and what you're thinking inside your head. So the movie industry, I'm very curious because you had zero experience and you just jumped into it. Why don't you give the viewers just one thing that you learned, a big lesson, maybe a misconception? Tell us a little bit about that.
All right. God, I could go on forever about this. The movie industry is controlled by. It's essentially two groups of people. At the top are these sociopaths, and they run Hollywood, and they're really the most evil people you could meet. I think maybe, like, I haven't met the people that run like the diamond mining industry, but those people are probably worse. They kill children. No one in Hollywood, I think, kills children. Although there's like all this buzz about underground kid rapey shit, so maybe
that shit is not the LA
right,
scene of that.
I don't know. I never saw obviously any of that. I wasn't in the kids scene out here, but like obviously,
I don't want to get into that pocket during this episode.
Dude,
Keep
like,
telling us about the hierarchy.
Yeah. So the it's run by sociopaths, and then beneath them are they basically prey on two groups of people: the broken artists who I just want to do my art, and they like have given up trying to like have freedom and master or autonomy in their life. And they're happy like doing their job.
And they're structuring the deals on their behalf, and they're just ripping them the fuck off.
Yeah, I'm thinking more the artists, like the cinematographers, directors, that kind of level, right? Mm-hmm. But that's a small group. The majority of the group are completely empty narcissists, right? And like if you have a soul, it's pretty much impossible to operate within the Hollywood system because it is designed to rid you. You have to compromise your soul in order to make it work, right?
And by compromise your soul, you mean, fuck somebody of a higher power, maybe
something crazy, something like that, right?
Sacrifice your soul,
right? Like I didn't have to fuck anybody to get any of my deals, right? I mean, who wants to fuck me to give me a deal? That makes no sense. But
apparently a lot of people sign up for those applications.
No, they just want to fuck me, not to give me shit. The way it worked, like you have to sign over all your IP, right? So like I wouldn't do it. It's the main reason my movie failed. We got no wide studio distribution support because I wouldn't sell the underlying IP to them, right? So it's like, no one was trying to fuck me in Hollywood. This is just the system.
That's just what the deal is.
Everyone works with, right? And so it was like, okay, if we can't own your shit and make most of the money, then fuck you. You don't get in. You don't get to come play with our ball, right? Same as book publishing.
Yeah, so it's a publisher versus self-publisher, and your ego probably said, "Hey, I'm going to win off the juice I have," and you just couldn't get that reach.
Exactly. You're basically exactly right. Now, it's very different now. YouTube and digital media have changed a lot of shit.
Netflix. Destroyed on Netflix.
It is a very different world now. Like this is, 10 to 15 years ago. So it was a different world then. But
okay, so you're in the shitter in the A-Loft in Tempe, Arizona. And you mentioned
literally crying into my pillow. Seriously. Like crying. Yeah, heaving, sobbing.
So I'm very interested to talk about the therapy because for me, I used like a life coach like a year and a half ago. It changed my life. Mm-hmm. I always thought down upon that. I never used like a gym trainer or went to like a gym class.
Right.
Now I've done both.
You're Mr. Do Everything Yourself.
Yeah, and like
me too.
Therapy. I went to a therapist when I got tested for ADD when I was young, but I've never gone to a therapist. And I've actually debated one time going, but I've never gone. Tell us about that because I feel like at that moment in time, if someone had to peg you as someone going to a therapist,
never would have
they never would have done it. But it seems like you had a really good experience. So why don't you tell us like about what type of therapy it was and like what the process is, what you learn? I'm very curious.
So there's lots of different types of therapy. What I realized, it doesn't matter. Like literally, there's all psychologists and psychiatrists will debate all the different modalities. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I realized quickly that didn't matter. What matters is the connection with the therapist, right? So you can have a great therapist in any modality. Depends on the person and what you need. So I went to like 10 or 20 different therapists and most of them were stupid or they weren't the right fit or whatever.
Self-inflicted too? You went on your own?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, you went on your own. No one was like, you got to fucking go?
No.
Okay, that's good.
No, dude, at this point, my movie failed, but I was still rich, man. Like, I didn't invest in the movie. Some other asshole lost his money, not me, right? And so, like, no, dude, I had my money. I had everything I needed. Like, I was in a perfect spot where, like, I didn't even have to change. I could have kept being Tucker Max the rest of I could have traveled around the world, written books forever, fucked girls forever. But, it got to the point where I hated it. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I fixed everything externally in my life. Great shape. That's when I got ripped and everything. Like, my life was perfect and I was still unhappy. And so the only thing left was me. And so this is about 2 years after this, 2011. I go to all these different therapists. I finally find one who smart, 20 years older than me, seen everything, calls me on my shit. Like, she's good. She was a psychoanalyst, which is just a specific type of therapy, but you go a lot. So I went literally 4 times a week for 4 years. Like, so basically every day for an hour.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How long was the drive? Were you really investing into this? Was it like...
Yeah, I mean, Austin's a small town. It was close. It was a
no,
10-minute drive. It's no big deal. It's not like LA, dude.
So you're investing like
no.
2 to 5% of your life into this for
I
4
spent
years.
6 figures over. She was not cheap. Like, she was
Damn.
whatever, $200 an hour. So
Give us some takeaways from that. What were some of the big things you learned?
So what I learned, now I'm 10 years into my therapeutic journey now. This was the beginning.
You're still in it?
Oh, dude, no. I stopped after 4 years with her and talk therapy. Talk therapy is great at helping you understand, essentially get a map of your mind, right? So imagine like you go to New York, you want to like New York City, you want to see the city. You start with a map of Manhattan, right? Because if you don't have any map at all, you have no idea where to even start. So like I was like a dude who didn't have a map. After 4 years, I had a really good map, right? But the thing was, that's intellectual.
So is this basically structuring your thought process?
Helping you understand, how are you thinking? How are you feeling? Why do you think that way? Why do you feel that way? Like that was when I really started to unpack like the depth of the shit I suffered as a kid and to really understand how that impacted me and understand how it was playing out in my life and how the patterns from my childhood were repeating in my life. And I hadn't seen them, right? But it gave me a map. But the thing, some people, therapy is all they need, man. They feel, it's easy for them to feel. Hard for me, man. Like, because the way I had dealt with my abuse was essentially to shut down and push away my feelings and emotions. And so like therapy didn't get me into my emotions, right? Mm-hmm. A little bit, but not much. And so like after 4 years, it was like, I had the map. I couldn't get a better map, but you can't know Manhattan until you walk the fucking island, right? And I hadn't walked the island and I wasn't going to walk it with her. And so I tried a bunch of other things. Nothing really worked, man, until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I started on MDMA assisted psychotherapy, like MDMA, like ecstasy, the active ingredient ecstasy. Dude, that shit blew me open, man. Like all of the shit that I wasn't feeling, that I couldn't feel, it was like, boom, it all came up. And so the last year and a half, I've been full in on, I started with MDMA, then I added psilocybin and LSD therapy. Both therapy, no recreational use.
I heard psilocybin like cures it.
Is this micro dosing of?
No, I do microdose, but that's not, I started going serious, full on, like.
Are these like hard drugs?
Medicines, but same shit. Yeah, mushrooms, like same shit.
It's under like supervision. It's like it's
extraordinarily no, it's therapeutic, dude. Yeah. Both psilocybin and MDMA are in stage 3 clinical trials right now to be legalized. MDMA is going to be legal next year, like fully legal. A friend of mine's opening a clinic this year. He got a compassionate care exemption because it got breakthrough. The early data was so amazing that it got breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA. And so like they're starting to open clinics and they're start treating people this year legally. I had to go find an underground guide and all that other shit, right? It's not legal right now. But like there's a whole network of these people that have been doing this a long time. No one really... You'll see, dude. In a couple of years, you're going to be having dudes on your podcast.
It's going to be like the new
administer this.
Yeah, it's going to be like the new.
It's as big as it gets.
We're going to talk about that outside the camera. So, movie tanks, But you have that one New York Times bestseller. And then let's just talk about from that period to now.
I did 2 more.
You did
after
2
that.
more.
Yeah, both were number 1. Both blew up. Did a bunch of books.
That were extensions off that. The same core thesis of,
Yep.
of just being a fucking wild man.
Yep. And that's how I made most of my money, man, was the second 2 books. The first one too. But I mean, I sold 3-4 million books, man. Like they just sold and sold and sold.
And those were because you probably got big minimum guarantees leveraged against what you did in the first book?
No, because so I went in with a very similar thing to what you did. I'm like, I'm going to break this system. And I like the way I did it was, so when you go into a normal publisher, it's like you sign a deal with them and they own you. But if you are the publisher, then they can act just as a distributor. So I had done with my first 2 books enough that for books 3 and 4, I just did a deal with them as a distribution company. So
This is what I like.
This is a precursor to what I did with what I've done with Scribe, right? But like you couldn't get a distribution deal because you don't have a track record of selling books, because they can only distribute books that the bookstores want to carry. Bookstores all knew me, so I had a ton of leverage then. But like, dude, it was a fucking pain in the ass, man. Like doing all this shit is fucking hard.
Curious to understand kind of how you told us about the architecture of Hollywood.
Right.
The book industry specifically, forget the publishers, let's talk about distribution for a second. Is it like Barnes & Noble, Borders, Walmart, or is there like...
At the time. It was only, at the time, before Amazon, it was only physical bookstores. So that's...
But is this like five different brands are running the whole entire thing? Or is there like ancillary, like get into college bookstores and boutiques? Like how many different big players are there?
Right now, today, bookstores don't really matter very much unless you're trying to sell bubblegum fiction to the masses. Like if you're James Patterson or you're a romance novelist or Harry Potter, bookstores matter a lot. For nonfiction, they're like a tiny % of sales. Even for like big books, like big nonfiction books.
So like business books, you think just immediate satisfaction, D2C is where it's at?
Really, Amazon, other sort of like... Audio, honestly. Audio, like we're seeing from our authors, like you got David Goggins over there. He's one of ours, right? We did his. Can't Hurt Me.
That's a nice flex right there.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I know, it's a big book. It's good.
He's extreme. I can see why.
Yeah. I love David. He's exactly like that in person too. He is. There's not 1 ounce of difference.
I don't even want to
between
hang
on
out
and
with him.
off
I feel like I'm
camera.
scared to hang out with him.
If he was not,
nice. He's such a nice guy.
If he is not exactly how I would think and want him to be, I would have no faith in humanity.
No, he is.
He's one of those guys that it's just
dude,
like,
there is no
fun.
difference on and off camera with him. And he's a super nice guy.
But
Like,
I
he's
don't mean
super
to.
nice.
Like I'm scared to see like what he would make me do. Just like
fucking
he would like
intense.
manipulate
That's a
me.
different thing. If you work out with him, he might fuck you up. But
Yeah,
if you're just talking to him, he's the nicest guy.
Good.
No, but like for him, I think 55% of his sales are audio, or more. I think.
Well, he's speaking, right?
Well, actually, the way his audiobook's amazing. Yeah. We did something different with it. It was his idea too. We had his writer read the chapters because David's very dyslexic. That's why he didn't do well at school, right? His teacher told him he was dumb. He's not fucking dumb. He just can't read because of dyslexia. And so his writer would read the chapters, and then his writer would interview him. So they had like 10 to 20 minute mini podcast episodes at the end of every chapter where David would expound on it, and it's fucking amazing. His audiobook's amazing. It's really good.
Probably taking that
how
idea.
we not start
Probably
with that?
taking that idea.
That's a good one. Good. It's a good one.
Has that gone wide, that idea? That's a great idea.
I would say 20% of our authors now ask us for a Goggins style audio.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's so smart.
Yeah, it's really good. But he's an example. I would say more than half of our business book authors, which is most of our authors, are selling anywhere from 40 to 60% of their books on audio. Audio is huge, man. It is the future of books, of content. Video is the big future, but audio is right there now. Humans are designed to see and to hear, not to read. Reading is a weird thing that a lot of people can't even do well, and it's not because they're dumb.
Yeah, he doesn't read books. But for me...
I've never even read a full book.
Yeah, but you literally... There's studies and like brain coaches like Jim Quick that talk about processing information through reading it. For me, reading, highlighting, and doing notes on Google Docs and then studying them, and then looking at stuff and then saying, how do I put this into my business, is different than me working out and listening to an audiobook. That's my personal opinion.
No, I get it. I'm with you, but I'm just telling you what the market is doing.
I think the market is passively reading, and they're not psychos like I am and looking to read a book to put that shit into my business.
Dude, that's got nothing to do with the medium. Like,
you don't think so?
No. People like you who are determined to succeed and build businesses that has nothing to do with how
Yeah.
you're the type of dude, man. I could plop you down in 4th century Rome and you would still be a successful merchant. Like
Thank you,
you're
bro.
going to succeed anywhere, right?
Thank you.
Okay. So like, no, but I'm serious. Like you just have that energy. It's like, you're going to figure it out. Like that has nothing to do with reading or not reading.
That's good. Yeah.
I'll take that.
No, that is exactly like you though.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's get to the next one though. So you got all these books. When do you meet the wife?
I met her 7 years ago. Yeah, in Austin. My CrossFit coach trained with her.
I would have guessed CrossFit guys.
No.
For guys listening on audio right now, fucking
and
yoked.
Dude, MMA and jiu-jitsu are like my main thing.
What you packing right? Like 13% body fat? 14?
No,
low right
I don't
now.
know. I don't know. 15, I guess. I don't know.
15, good.
15 is like, that's normal for someone who works out and doesn't eat a bunch of shit. That's not like that.
Nah, how old are you?
44?
Nah, you like 20%. 14 is low.
You look
14, 15.
way younger than 44, I think.
Nah, you good.
Yeah.
Like, most guys that are like, and it's true. I see a lot of guys my age, and I'm like, fuck, you look 20 years older than me. It's because they eat shitty, because they don't work out, or because they haven't dealt with any of their emotional issues. Dude, this is what it looks like when you deal with your shit. I've lost 20 pounds in the last 18 months, and I have not changed my diet or my exercise routine, just doing medicine work.
You think it's just like stress? I think it's a lot of stress.
Dude, so all stress is repressed
Anxiety,
emotions.
yeah,
So it's all depression is unfelt sadness. It's unfelt emotions. And all the medicine work has helped me do is feel. It's like I walked to the island with the map I got in therapy. That's it. I just felt all my shit. All the sadness, the loneliness as a kid, all that stuff that's like too overwhelming to feel on a day that you'll freak out. I feel it, and now it's like I'm so much better connected with myself. Yeah.
I say intermittent fasting and water. That's my cheat codes to life.
IF is amazing too.
Yeah,
I'm not going to help you with your emotions.
I've been doing that for 8 years. People said I was fucking psycho 8 years ago. I love it.
No, it's great.
So what I'm curious. So what was going through your mind like the night before or 10 minutes before you met your wife? Because I want to know. It's like I say it all the time. Like, so before I moved out here, I had a girlfriend.
You're not ready to meet your wife.
I know.
If that's your question you're leading to. You're not ready.
No. So I was dating a girl for 3.5 years. I almost got engaged.
Exactly.
I was very close. And then I moved out here.
Right.
And I'm just fucking single. So like people out here don't know that I'm even like capable of doing that.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm just like, I could be on some fuckery, but then if I meet the right girl, then it's over. You know what I'm saying? So like for you, what was this? Was it a gradual switch?
He seeks out. He's like this quarter I'm gonna meet my wife. Like that's not how it works,
This what?
bro.
No.
Like you put a time limit on when you're gonna meet your
dude,
wife.
I didn't say this. What?
So
You
I
do
know
that.
the exact stage you're in. You're at the stage I was in about 6 months or a year before I met my wife. You're at the stage where you think you would change for the right woman.
100%.
That's not how it works.
No.
That's not how it works. I'm just telling you, man, as someone who's walked this path, when you have to change, you have to become the man that woman wants, and then you'll meet her. So you've got to actually change first.
I think I'm on that process right now. Like
You may be starting the process,
I am.
but you're not ready now.
No, for sure. I've started.
And I don't mean that
process.
as an insult. Like it just you.
I think I'm on day 40 of that process this year, literally.
Dude,
You can't put it.
I'm telling you, man.
Jeff,
listen,
what are you talking about? I'm on a regimen right now, and I feel myself changing right now.
I don't doubt that, but
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, it would be a disaster if you met the exact right woman today, because you wouldn't be ready, and she probably wouldn't be either.
Because I'm not the person that I'm gonna be.
And like I think of it like circles, right? Like you're a half circle right now. You're a half person, and she's a half person. And what happens is when two half people come together, they feel like they're whole, but they're not.
You need to be full
Right.
individually.
You need to be a circle, and she needs to be a circle, and then you guys come together and share that, right? It's a very different thing, man. Very different.
Tucker dropping gems on my fucking ass right now. Okay, so you meet the wife,
Right.
and that obviously now you're married and you have kids. And when was the transition between being the writer of New York Times bestsellers to now Scribe Media, which is how I actually got introduced to you because we are interested and started writing our own book?
So we stopped. I retired from fratire, which was like the New York Times said I invented a literary genre called fratire. I retired at the end of my
What's your
fourth
definition
book.
of fratire? I say fuckboy shit.
Dude,
Give me.
dude, the term fuckboy was not around when I was writing because it'd be a perfect description. But no,
Give us your one-liner on fratire, and then
it's not mine, it's theirs. It's fraternity humor mixed with satire, which is stupid because I wasn't in a fraternity and my stuff is not technically satire.
You went to the wrong
It's-
college. You would have been in a fraternity.
Yes, I would have.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, if I'd gone to like UVA or someplace cool like that, I would have totally been in a frat. I just went to school with
Interesting
a frat
choice
school.
there. UVA, I would have thought like Arizona. I went to University of Delaware. That shit was
Dude,
wild.
I wish if I'd gone to Arizona State, I don't think I ever would have left.
I went
Like,
to-
why
Wait,
would I
do
ever
we-
leave?
I went to U of A, so I know a little.
Yeah, or UA, either one.
I left.
We had just the guy that was on the podcast
He went
before
to
you,
ASU.
Arizona State.
Yeah,
Golfer.
either one. I would have. Oh, dude, I never would have left. It would have been terrible because I wouldn't have written any of the stories either. Like I would have just stayed and fuck. Because why would I write anything down if I'm fucking and having fun and drinking? I would never have written it down. It'd have been a waste of time.
Okay, so you retire from this dubbed.
Right. At the end of book 4. And then after that, I had money and I had time. And so I did, it's a long, long story, but basically, man, I had all these friends in tech. And so, like, they would have these amazing products and they did the worst fucking job talking about them. And so, like, I would use their software and I'm like, oh, this isn't what you're saying. This is this other thing. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. And then they would use just something I threw off the cuff. That would become their slogan and their copy. And then they would see, sales triple in a month. And then they'd be like, hey, man, can I, like, people came to me to start consulting and getting, like, help. And what I realized was, like, when you're in the entertainment business, being a great storyteller is fucking table stakes. Like, you have to be a great storyteller just to exist in that business. But in business, they're all terrible storytellers. If you're even a decent storyteller in business, you're Gary Vee. Like,
Huge delta,
you're through
yep.
the roof. And so I was like, oh,
Hey,
shit,
have
man.
some
Like,
hope.
okay, so like I started going into that field and a lot of twists and turns and other stuff. And then eventually I realized I know how to do something that is incredibly valuable to a ton of people. I know how to write, publish, and market their books. That's where we've started. And the company's now 5 years old. We have like 50 something full-time, 170 part-time. We're well into the 8 figures. And now we're starting to really branch off and do like thought leadership stuff, personal branding, all the obvious stuff. Because as we move forward in this economy, everyone who's a baller is eventually going to have their own media, right? They don't have to be Gary Vee, but you have to have like something that's out there that shows who you are and what you can do, whether it's a YouTube channel or a book or a great blog
Any
or some
storytelling touch
combination,
point.
anything,
Yeah.
podcasts. And then the bigger you get, the more you have to have, right? In order to kind of go up the levels, right? And so no, I don't think any company actually understands this, really. And so we're kind of skating to where the puck's gonna be. There's a bunch of people who get pieces. Oh, they say you need this or you need that. It's a whole system. And a lot of people do all the other stuff. No one else does books because books are the hardest thing to do right. And so we've got books nailed, and all these other companies are going to end up being feeders for us because all their clients are going to have to come do books eventually anyway. And then we're building the whole back end system now. And so our goal is to have people like you guys. You maybe not because you have your own media company, but people like you who don't know media, paying us anywhere from $2 to $20 a month to do their shit for them, but not company media, not that's a very digital marketing is a different thing. More like personal, professional brand type stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a huge hole in the market for that. Interesting. Okay, so I want to talk about 5 laws of writing a book. Laws that you're going to make up, and then we're going to talk about that. So
I
give us.
don't know if there's 5. I'll give you the ones. Okay, so the most important one is no one gives a fuck about you or your book. They only care what they get from your book. And so everything you do with your book has got to be based on that.
That's a cooker right there. That's a good one. I like that one. Comes out hot with
Everything
law 1.
derives from that, man.
So it's all value based. What can I get out of it?
100%. Yep.
I'm thinking about it now. All the books over here. It's just like if I'm reading that shit and I'm not getting something quick, it's done.
Well, I mean, exactly. You've never bought a book or read a book because you like the author and you want to be nice to them. It's only because you want to take something from it.
Yeah.
And everyone gets that when they shop for books. But then when they write a book, it's like they lose their fucking mind and they think, everyone cares about everything about me. It's like, no one gives a fuck.
I just finished the first chapter of the book, and it's just like there's not 1 ounce of fucking meat in that shit. That's not value. And I got fucking.
Mark, him and Naval would be so funny to sit down.
Do I know
Just
Naval?
like,
He's a
yeah.
good friend of mine.
Really? Yeah.
Like,
You two
Naval's
would be
the
so
fucking-
Oh,
funny.
Naval's my boy, dude.
He's the fucking goat.
You two would be such a good contrast together.
Naval, we're doing it's not technically his book, but the Almanac of Naval's Wisdom.
Yeah.
This guy, Eric Jorgensen's putting it. You guys will see it soon. It's coming out in a few weeks. We did the book.
He needs to strike while the iron's hot. He's buzzing right now, low key. But people,
His shit's not going to go down. Naval's going to be around.
he's
a long
timeless
time.
because his laws are all
so
timeless. All right, let's get back to the laws. Because his first law is fucking mind blowing. Law number 2. Give me another one about books. What you need to do for a book.
All right, so no one cares about you. They only care about themselves, right? And what they're going to get from the book. Well, everything derives off of that. So if you understand that they only care about that, then the book, first off, you got to nail. I guess law number 2 would be know exactly who you're trying to write for, right? And that'd be 2A. 2B is and why they're going to care, right? So and then really the third law, I usually put this first, but the third law would then be know exactly what you're trying to get for yourself from the book. Because
That's very interesting.
Because then if all those line up, you've got an amazing book that's going to work well. So I'll just make something up. Let's say you want to get people, this is made up, right? This is not your book. You want to get people really interested in buying like your cool art, right? Okay. So then the audience are people who would be interested in
the same
types
persona.
of sayings and the types of aesthetic that's on your art. Okay. So that's a specific age range. It's a specific socioeconomic class. It's an ambition. There's a specific psychographic profile of those
psychographics, demographics, everything. You get super granular.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so then you know that very clearly. And then the question is, why are they going to care? So what do I have to say that those people would be really interested in?
We're going to fuck this shit up, Jeff. Okay. So I like those laws so far. What else?
That's it. If you do those,
What about the title?
That's 4 things.
What about the title though? Because I've thought about just doing like the most ridiculous like fuck shit ass tits title just to get people like the wow factor. Seriously, I talked about that.
Funny book title.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like your title, all of them.
That would be a great book title for shock marketing. If the book was about shock marketing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what you're going to write about.
No.
Yeah. The title is.
I don't know.
The title is the single most important marketing decision you make. True.
Damn.
But positioning is more important than title. It sounds weird, but of a one decision thing, title's crazy important. It's the thing. It's the first piece of information I'm going to get from your book or about your book. Sort of. It depends who recommends it. So like if someone I know, then at the same time, the first 2 pieces of information I get is who recommended it, what do I think of them, and then like what's the title? Is it for me?
Yeah.
How big is like the forwards and like the cosigns on the front and back?
I don't know that much. It's 10% at most. If you have cool people who are gonna, if you have a big baller who's gonna write your forward, do it, but don't go crazy trying to find it. And if you have amazing like names who want to give you blurbs, cool, take them. But if you don't have them, no big deal.
Scribe Media, 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years, and Tucker Max. Where's everything going?
Dude, my company has its own CEO now. Like I'm like on an island. I do like shit like this, biz dev. I speak. And then I work on a couple new products and that's it, right? Like no one even reports to me. I'm a terrible manager. So like my CEO is a total baller. That company's got its own life now and it's going like, and just month by month, I get less and less involved because they're outgrowing me.
Elevate and delegate. Boss shit right there.
100%.
Let's
Oh
go.
yeah, dude. And so the next thing, the big thing that I'm rolling out within Scribe is we do business books, reputation books, right? And so like your book, even though it's going to be all value, it's about building your reputation and making you look great to the people that you're providing value to. Fantastic. That's all the books we do now. But most people who want to write books want to write memoirs. They want to tell their story. And you can tell your story in a reputation book as long as the parts of your story you tell are perfectly relevant to the lessons you're teaching, right? So you can teach a bunch of lessons through your story, but that's not the same thing as I'm just telling my story. Right?
I actually think with your service that you guys are going to have better success in the memoir, than
we are.
this.
I know.
Because for me, like when I started analyzing what you're doing, I think the structure and the psychology and strategy behind how I'm going to structure the book is going to be one of the key reasons why it's going to succeed. If I ever did a memoir, I could just literally just sit for fucking 40 hours with you. And I know you're just going to make that shit like 100%. I think you guys are going to fucking kill it.
So now we're building a parallel process that's memoir. I'm building this, right?
Yep.
But we're taking a very specific tact on it. It's not just an egocentric autobiography. We call it One Last Book. Because the frame is, if you were going to write one book, what would you say? Right? So it's got to be it's a whole process for uncovering your real truth and then speaking your real truth. And so it's not like if someone just wants to write a braggy autobiography, you can go through a normal process. It's cool. But like the memoir process, it's a 3-day. We've just started it. We've done about 3 workshops, right? And they're all kind of rough still. It's a 3-day fucking workshop. I could teach you in 30 minutes all of the information you need to know to write a great memoir. The rest of the 3 days is therapeutic shit. It's fucking straight up therapy, like really uncovering what are the things, the deep truths you have in you that you're afraid to say, you don't say, you haven't really realized yet. It's about bringing them, uncovering them, articulating them, getting them sharp, and then putting them in your, but it's not lecturing. It's here's my life, here's my story, here's what I did, here's what happened, here's how I felt about it, here's what I learned, right? That's it. That's how you write a memoir. Those 3 questions. Like it's that simple. What happened? What did I feel about it? What did I learn from that? Or do? What did I do because of it? Right? You can maybe do that. It's really simple to understand, but no one gives a fuck about a braggy piece of shit memoir. You love Goggins' book because that motherfucker put his fucking soul on the page, dude. He stepped up. When I told him this, he got it. He stepped up, man, and he really told his whole truth.
He went deep.
Well, I mean, like the more truth you share, the more people want to listen.
You read the Tim Grover book?
Yeah, it's good. It's good too.
Let's talk about the piece. So, No Pressure, No Diamonds. It's from our Monopoly collection. Why'd you pick it?
So I picked this because I felt like this is more of a message to myself. I always try and avoid the hard task or the hard thing or the thing I don't want to do, but like everything good I have in my life came out of taking the hard path, like failing on the movie, the girl suing me, getting fired. All the best shit is from pressure, right? All the diamonds in my life are from pressure. And so like, compared to most people, I'm not a coward, but subjectively, I know I could do a much better job putting myself into difficult pressure situations so I can grow more diamonds.
Man, that was perfect.
We're going to ship you that piece.
Yeah.
That was a nice way to end it. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
If you want to write a book, scribewriting.com. For me, I'm just on all the normal social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
You have a lot of gems. One last thing. Why don't you tell a lot of our entrepreneurs out here the main goal with this show is to motivate and inspire. Why don't you tell them just one basic piece of life advice that you would...
Life or business?
Business, let's do.
Okay. All right. So this is the most important thing. It's funny. I thought I understood this even 2 years ago, but I didn't. I think I'm only starting to understand this. The only point of business is to meet the needs of someone else, right? And that doesn't just mean like, I like money, right? The only reason I still work is because I want a private jet. I hate flying commercial, right? And so like, I love money, but at the same time, if you only think about money and sales, you're going to miss the point. The point is helping other people get what they want, right? Like, you don't have an art company. You have an inspirational and a motivational company, right? No one wants shit on their wall. What they want is to be a better version of themselves. And that's actually what you're selling them, what you're helping them get.
Our company vision is to inspire and motivate through storytelling.
It's almost
Tucker, let's
it's
go.
almost like I'm a branding and storytelling expert.
There you
right?
go.
Okay. So we hadn't even talked about this.
Yes.
Like, it's just obvious, right?
Yeah.
And it's great. And that's why it's working so well, because there's an endless demand for inspiration and motivation, right? Okay. But most people get lost in the structure of business and forget, what need am I actually meeting? And if you can always stay connected to the need you're meeting, your business will always, you'll have an endless supply of business ideas, and the ones that work will always work because you are meeting someone's needs.
We're going to end on that. That was a fucking epic line. Tucker, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, man.
My pleasure,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks for having me.
That was great.